It has been a long road and full of challenges. Being bilingual on graduation day has been one of my greatest achievements because I now have the tool set to go on reaching all the objectives I might set for myself in the future. A world of opportunities opened up to me when I started studying with Richmond Solution. I was really able to learn autonomously. I could study at home, in the library, or in the classroom. I could dive into the book, or by being connected to the internet, I could explore fascinating activities that empowered my English skills. I was able to instantly access the answers as they were only a click away. I loved working in a team. My friends and I had great fun as we learned. I learned a lot from them, and I know that they learned something from me. The exams were always challenging, but thanks to the practice that was constantly available on the digital platforms, we were fully up to speed to meet these challenges. I am really going to miss my school.
Richmond Solution helped us hugely to transform the English program in our school. We have now got the best tools to guarantee the best learning. Let me show you. Part of the process gives us access to a coach who builds our confidence, as well as training courses to better our abilities and to continue our improvement. Yes, good teachers are always keen to learn more. As we live in the cloud, as we say in this connected world, we have digital resources to improve our classes and which allow our students to learn from anywhere in the world, even quite literally in the clouds if they are on board an airplane. Through the Richmond Test Manager and Learning Analytics, we have a variety of possibilities to test, validate, and monitor students' progress. It is amazing to be able to see how your students are learning and to have the evidence of their learning at your fingertips. This really does make us very happy indeed. Richmond Solution is a solution designed for you.
Okay, everybody, good afternoon. My name is Silvia Maldonado. Welcome to this second webinar in our second cycle for formative webinars in Richmond. Today, we have a special, very, I don't know how to put it, but it's an amazing person who has been including in-class flip for a few months. So let me give you a little preview of what the webinar is going to be about. And let me introduce you to Carolina Porras. She's our expert today, sharing some of her information and knowledge about in-class flip. All right. So during this second webinar, participants will review the principles of in-class flip while analyzing examples of this approach and its applicability to a blended learning environment. Participants will also consider the benefits of in-class flip in their own teaching practice. All right. In the meantime, I would like for you to send us comments. Where are you visiting us from? Where are you? In what cities? What school? If you want to share that information, please send us your comments. All right. Let me see. Where are you visiting? Let's see. We have Mateo. Welcome, Mateo. All right. Ruby Mendoza, good afternoon. Welcome, Ruby. Gabriel. It's great to know you're on the other side. Tell us, where are you visiting us? Bucaramanga, okay. Medellin, Janet, hello. Diana Martinez from Liceo Infantil, welcome. What a pleasure. Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, well, you tell us, where are you visiting from? Okay, Christian from Barranquilla, fantastic. Okay, now, let me tell you a bit about Carolina Porras. Okay, she's an academic consultant for Richmond, Columbia. She holds a master's degree in English language teaching, autonomous learning environments from Universidad de la Sabana in Chía. She is also a specialist in university teaching from Universidad del Bosque from Bogotá as well. She holds a bachelor's degree in modern languages from Universidad Distrital Francisco José de Caldas in Bogotá. And her research interests include self-assessment strategies, flip learning, brain-based learning, and speaking performance. So it is fantastic that we have you here, Carolina. Please go ahead, continue with your great webinar, and looking forward to hear everything you can share with us about in-class flip.
Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you everybody for being here, for taking the time to listen to us, to learn a little bit maybe about in-class flip, to review some of the concepts that you already know. So our objective from this webinar today is just to review some things that you may know or some things that you may not, see some examples of what an in-class flip looks like. And ideally, when we finish, you will have some ideas for you to include in your class for you to start implementing in-class flip. Let me tell you that this is a beautiful journey. It's kind of complicated at the beginning, I'm not going to lie. It will take some time for you to get used to it, but it's just something that you will enjoy and your students will enjoy as well, okay? So let's see the presentation and let's see what we have for you today. So, okay, they're telling me that there are some connection problems here. I don't know, like maybe you cannot see me very well. So let me share what I have prepared for you today. I really hope you enjoy it, really hope that this is useful for your teaching practices. This is what we always want for our teachers. So let me see what's going on. Okay, good. So in-class flip and the language classroom. This is our topic for today, right? And I know that some of you have heard about the flipped classroom and its concept, and they know about, or you know about, in-class flip. So if you were here a week ago when we were listening to our expert, Mateo, so I would like to ask you, what do you recall from that webinar? What do you know about in-class flip? Maybe you can type it in the chat and let us know. Anything that comes to your mind, okay? What is it? If you know any concept, if you know any principle, some benefits, maybe some teachers in your school or even yourselves have already used in-class flip. So anything you remember or you recall from our last webinar, please type it in the chat. And Sylvia, can you please let me know some of the comments that our participants are sharing with us?
Okay, Caro, I'm reading it here. Gabrielle is saying flip the content.
Okay.
Right here. And where we're expecting your questions. Actually, your comments about what do you know about in-class flip? What can you remember from the previous webinar with Mateo Gomez, if you remember, if you were visiting us from the last webinar? Let's see. Comments.
Let's give them some time. It's okay if you don't know anything. Don't worry. Not necessarily we need to know, right? Anyway, I'll give you some information about it, but just in case.
They're saying greetings from Barranquilla, Colegio Sagrado del Sagrado Corazón. Also from Tunja, going back a little bit, saying hello to our participants from Tunja, from Argentina, Barranquilla, Pedagógico Augusto Comte, right?
Yeah, great. So many visitors today.
And now comments about what do you know about in-class flip, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, what comments do you have? ready? Caro, nothing so far?
Okay, no problem. So
Yes,
I'm going
it's
to give
okay.
our participants like a brief explanation of what in-class flip is. Okay.
It's okay.
The concept of flip learning is, of course, like flipping the content that students will see in class, so they will see it in the classroom, right? This is like the regular definition of flip. But in class flip has a twist. And what is that twist? That content that students may work with at home is going to be seen in school. And when I say school, it doesn't have to be in the physical place, right? It can be also virtual. So that is the little twist we have. Instead of having students prepare the content at home, they will do it in the class, in small groups if possible, because of the biosecurity issues and the pandemic situation that we are living in. And the idea is that during the class, students will handle that material. They will take notes about it. They will rotate in different stations, practicing with the information they've seen during the class at the beginning in something called the flip station that I will recall later, okay? So that is the explanation. That's the twist. So it is flip, yes, flip learning, but it will take place in the classroom. And I will show you how to do it. This is a question, why to use in-class flip? This is a regular question we have. And some teachers may say like, okay, but if I can teach my class, why do I need to do this? So some benefits, let's say. If a student, for example, don't have very good internet connection at home, or if they don't have a good device, if there are some homes in which the siblings need to share probably a computer, so in-class flip can be a solution for that. If your school has a no homework policy, for example, and you cannot tell students to do any kind of activity, academic activity at home, in-class flip is for you. If you're teaching very young learners as well that need constant supervision and they don't have anyone at home who help them, well, in-class flip is the answer, right? So this is an approach that may work for teachers that have certain needs, but it can also work for everybody, not necessarily if that's the case, okay? Some challenges that you may face as a teacher when using in-class flip, because not everything is perfect. Of course, there are some drawbacks. There are many benefits that we will talk about later, but there are some drawbacks or some challenges for you to consider, okay? First, it's time consuming, yes, because you will need to think a lot, you will need to make some decisions, you will need to design some things. But although it may take time for you, something beautiful about in-class flip is that you can recycle the materials you use. So if you have designed, for example, a writing, like you want to do this in-class flip in your class about writing, you can recycle this material later on. Or you can use it as a template, for example, for another grade you have. So let's say that you're teaching A1 or a very basic level and you have designed some things for them. Well, you can use this as template, for a more, for a higher level. So that's one of the drawbacks, but it has also some benefits. Kids, or depending on the age, students may need your constant help in class, or they will get distracted. So that's why it is important to set like time limits when you're designing your stations, when you're designing your class. And I will show you like some other factors that you may consider. And the decision-making process. You need to decide on many things, like starting from the topic, the type of material you may need, the time given for each station, if you need to design or curate the material. So at the beginning, it may be a little bit overwhelming, but you will see all the benefits, okay? I promise. So let's just dive into in-class flip. There are different models that are used. We have a loop model. This loop model looks like a circle, let's say, which students can rotate. okay? It doesn't matter if students begin in station number 1 or in station number 10 or in number 2, there is no problem. But there is something that is a must, and it's the flip station, okay? The flip station is the one in which students will see all the resources, the explanation of the topic they will need for the rest of the class, okay? Regularly, we use a video to explain this, a video that you can record yourself or you can find on the internet. However, you need to be very careful when choosing your material, okay? That's very important because it has to be something short, attractive for students, that has the language related to your students' level. So it's important to really decide on a good video, or you can make it yourself. That would be my suggestion, but it's up to you. I know that we teachers spend our lives grading, teaching, planning, so it depends on the time you have, okay? I put the flip station in the middle. It doesn't have to be there. It's just as a reference. But what is important is that you consider that it has to be the first station all students need to go through before going around the others, okay? So that's something that is extremely important for us to consider. The flip station, if, for example, you're working in a school and not all students have a computer, not all students have a device, or there is only one device, and you have 15 students, and of course, they cannot be like all of them sitting around the computer at the same time. My recommendation would be do a station that is for everybody, that is called the whole class station. So you as a teacher, you can project the video, you can show it to the whole class so that you make sure that all students watch the video, take the necessary notes, okay? That's something that is very important. What is it that my students are going to do with this video, okay? So you ask them to watch, you organize or set the classroom, students take notes about it, like important information. You can provide them with a chart, for example, if we're talking about grammar, or with an example if we are talking about writing. But it's important to have this flip station for everybody available, okay? That depends on your side. If you're working virtually, well, that makes it easier, right? Because we can share the video in the groups, no problem. All students, like all groups, can be watching the video at the same time. So that depends on your reality. If you're working face-to-face, if you're working on a blended environment, if you're working on a virtual environment in this moment. So what is beautiful about the loop model, that students can be working on any station. It doesn't matter the order, they can choose. So they feel free and they feel empowered during this type of class. Because they can say like, okay, as a group, we want to start in number 3, and it's okay. Or no, we are going to the last, or we are going to begin in the first station. Another very common model is the sequence model. And as its name says, it has to be something sequenced. Different from the loop, in this type of in-class flip, students need to go like from one station to the other, to the other, to the other, okay? So if you're working with this type of sequence model, it is very important for you to prepare enough material for all the groups. Bear in mind that all the groups are going to be working on the same station. So if you have 15 students, let's say, you need to make groups of 3. So you need to have 5 different sets of materials per group, per station, because it's not possible for students to share the material if you have only prepared one set, okay? So start thinking about your reality, start thinking about what's like the best for you, and decide which of these 2 models suits you better and suits your students' needs as well, okay? Personally, I prefer the loop model. I like that my students have the chance to go over any station they want, to repeat if necessary, to go back, okay? Something that is extremely important is that the flip station has to be available for students the whole time, okay? In case they need like some extra information, in case they forgot something. So the flip station is available for them. They can go and recall information and visit it and revisit it as many times as necessary. So how to start? That might be the question. Okay, this sounds interesting, but what do I have to do first? The first thing is to choose the topic. And I would like to suggest you to choose something small, okay? Start from something small. You can flip instructions. You can flip the vocabulary from a lesson, for example. That's a possibility. You can flip grammar. You can flip the writing, but only flip one element in your class, okay? Don't flip the whole unit if you're starting. Start with something small, and then you can be ambitious and go with something bigger. But at the beginning, my recommendation would be start with something short, something small, like the grammar, for example. The second would be define the class objective. So what is it that I want to do with this class? What do I want my students to achieve by the end of this class? Okay? Is there an outcome from my students? Which is that outcome? How are they going to present it if that's the case? Number 3, decide on the number of stations. After doing this, you need to consider the number of students you have, the setting you're going to have, if this is something virtual, if this is in the school, or if you have some students in the house and some others in the school. So it's important to think about that, okay? Then create the flip station. The flip station is, remember, this is the must, because this is where students can see the information they will need for the class, okay? So the flip station has to be the first, and then design the stations, right? Sounds easy. But let's see, I have like some recommendations for you. So when designing, think about the number of students you have, right? The time you have, or the time students will have in each station. And a recommendation would be, if you're working in a virtual setting in which you need to create breakout rooms, send students to the room, you have to visit the different rooms as well. So bear that in mind and plan some time for students to go to the groups, to come back if necessary, to the whole meeting, to a regular meeting, okay? If you're planning like in a setting in your school as well, it is important to bear in mind the time students need to move from one station to the other. Because if your time is too limited, probably students won't be able to finish. And then you will feel like rushing students. They will feel like, oh my God, we don't have time to finish. The teacher is telling us to finish. So bear that in mind, okay? Number 3, the space. Is it virtual? Is it face-to-face? Is it something blended? The type of activities you're going to do. Am I going to do, for example, you can do some integrated skills activities. Am I going to do a listening or a writing? What material my students may need, if they need highlighters, colors, paper, or if they need a device like a cell phone with internet connection, or a camera, a computer. So it's important to think about all of this. Remember, you know your students. You are the expert on that class, and you know what is better for your students. You know what is the best for them. So just start making this process, okay? And then when designing your stations and when designing your in-class flip, it's important to consider instructions, okay? Instructions must be clear. My recommendation would be, please ask one of your peers to review and to check the instructions, okay? Because sometimes we teachers understand everything perfectly, right? We type the instructions, like, of course, the students understand what they have to do. And when they start working, they don't know. They get lost. And as you probably, if you're working virtually, you cannot be in all the rooms at the same time. So if students don't understand because of the instructions, then, well, probably all of the design, all of the beautiful things that you have done for them well, they will not be as good as you thought. So recommendation, peer revision. Okay. Second, assign students roles in the groups. My recommendation would be assign groups of 3, no more than that, maybe 4 if that's the case. Okay, and assign them with roles. So one person may share the screen, for example, if they are working online, another person may take notes, another person controls the time. So it's important to assign some roles to students. Number 3, in the design, please include the time they will have for the complete activity in the station. Okay, that's super important because as soon as we'll know, like, okay, we have 10 minutes, in 10 minutes we need to finish because we need to start the other, or probably we won't be able to finish. If you're working virtually, my recommendation is send students reminders, okay? Like you've got 5 minutes left, 3 minutes, 1 minute to finish. If you're working on a face-to-face environment, you can set a stopwatch, for example. You can set music. That's something that I love doing. And I tell my students, we have 3 songs to finish this. When the 3rd song is over, time is over. So time, right? Feedback. Do my students need feedback in this activity? What type of feedback will they need? Is it feedback provided by me? Or can I give them, for example, an answer sheet for them to check? Or is it instant feedback if we are working on an online resource? So it's important also to consider that, because if there is just the activity, but there isn't any kind of feedback, students might feel like, okay, but is this correct or not? Did we do well or not? So keep that in mind to design the type of activity, okay? Because if, for example, it's an open-ended questions, students won't receive any feedback unless you're there, for example. But if you want them to have something more controlled, you can have other type of stations, other type of activities in which there is instant feedback for them. And what material do I need? Okay. So Silvia, I don't know if so far our participants have any question, if everything is going well. I would like to listen to participants.
Everything is going well, but at the moment, we don't have any comments, right?
Okay.
We don't have any comments yet. I don't know if, hello. You
We
guys
have
are
shy
too
participants
shy.
today.
Yes, we have a lot of participants for sure, but they are kind of quiet or quiet in the fingers because they are not writing comments or messages.
Okay.
But you are doing well. I just have a little concern because I am a teacher. I also teach students in universities, and sometimes it is overwhelming. Just the fact to think about different tools to use for in-class flip, right? But yeah, as you said before, it's okay. Don't worry. Just with careful planning, strategical planning, we can do really great things with students. As you mentioned, the age, keeping in mind, very important. Just as a reminder, the age of the students, the grade they are in, the number of the students you have, what is the material you're going to flip, what are the type of activities you will have. Just considering those in mind, it's going to be easier for you to think about what are you going to do. So with the planning, everything is going to work really well. That's for sure.
Yeah, Silvia, you're right. And I understand the feeling. I had it too, let me be honest. When I started doing in class flip, I was overwhelmed. That's the word. Totally overwhelmed with all this decision-making process, like, oh my God, and what am I going to flip, and how will my students react to this? Because sometimes they are so used to the traditional classroom that when they see that you are just like walking around, listening to them, paying attention, they're like, but what is my teacher doing? She's not teaching us today, right? right? That's something that may happen, for example, at the beginning, but you will see that students will feel in control, and that's something so powerful in learning, and that's something that we talk about so much. We are always like, yeah, the student-centered class, and we need to do this, but do we really do it? And that's a question. And I can tell you that with In Class Flip, for sure, it will be a student-centered lesson, completely focused on
Caroline,
students.
I'm sorry. We have a question from Gabriel.
Yeah.
Can we use in-class flip if we teach both virtual and on-site class?
Of course, you can. However, what you need to think of is on the design of the type of stations that you need. Okay. If you're working in a virtual, let's say like virtual, and you have some students at home, you have some students in the classroom. So if, depending on the case of school, if students have like devices like computers in school, no problem, because you can share the stations via, I don't know, a QR code, for example. You can give them a PowerPoint presentation to the ones that are in the house and the ones that are in school. But for example, if you are in a situation in which students don't have a computer, for example, well, I'm going to show you some stations in which they can use their books to work in the classroom. Okay. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, for example, in this moment, we cannot share some papers with them. So that's also something that we need to consider as well. If your school says like no paper, teacher cannot hand in anything to the student, that's something that you also need to bear in mind when designing the stations. You're like, okay, so my students cannot grab any paper that I give them. So what can I do? So you can design the stations using your books, for example. Okay, that would be a solution for some of us. So I'm going to show you an in-class flip. Okay, this is something that I have designed. This is what the flip station looks like. Okay, and as you can see, the instructions, although they may look like a little bit like too many words, the idea is that they are clear for students. So don't feel afraid of probably typing or so much or writing so much. Okay, what really matters here is that everything is clear for students. Remember, you're not going to be there all the time because you need to be visiting. So if instructions aren't clear, well, probably students won't understand what they have to do. So before you start, define who will control the time and who will share the screen. So students need to negotiate. Remember to watch the video and take notes about relevant information, examples, rules, negative, usage, anything. This is a grammar in-class flip. I'm flipping some grammar things for my students. Personalize information. This is something that I strongly recommend you to do in the flip station. Tell students to personalize. You can, for example, create a worksheet for students to complete depending on the age, depending on the level. So if you consider, for example, your students need a little bit more of guidance, you can give them a chart in which they will watch a video about the grammar they will work with during the class, and they can take notes about it. And personalization is extremely important. So let students know that they need to personalize. In this case, I'm telling them to make sentences about themselves using the grammar. Okay, and they need to write them. And then collaboratively, they'll create their own definition. So they are working individually, they are working in groups as well. So let's see an example. Okay, I'm going to share. If the students click here, they can open the video with the grammar. So let me show you what the video may look like. I have created this video for my students. It's a Powtoon. Our topic is present perfect simple. simple example, right? It is a video that is 2 minutes 38 seconds, so it's something short. Remember, attention span in our students is not the best. So my recommendation would be, if you're making your own videos, try to make them short, okay? Powtoon is a very useful tool. It's free, so you can use it. Or, for example, if it's the case of our users from Richmond, you can use the videos, like the grammar videos some of our series have. So that's also an advantage that you may have over other teachers, right? So what do students need to do? Watch the video, take notes, okay, and personalize. And they will have 15 minutes for that. This is the flip station. Remember, that is the station in which we share the topic with them, okay? And then they can go to the practice station. Remember that if you're working in a sequenced type of in-class flip, they will go by one. If you're working on a different kind of model, like the loop, so students can do any of them. I want to show you an example of a station, okay? Again, instructions. Before you start, remember to control the type, okay? Type the answers and share the screen. So for this exercise, we need a person that is typing. Someone or everyone, sorry, individually, they need to log in the Richmond Learning platform, and you tell them where exactly they need to go. So they need to click on Additional Resources Book, then the Support Grammar Unit 1, Exercise 4, and complete the activity in each platform. So I'm telling them to share the screen, yes, but individually they need to do the exercise. Just check your notes from the video. That's very important, like to tell students, remember that you make some notes. Depending on the quality of these notes, you will be able to answer some of the activities or not. Use the words in the box to answer. Work collaboratively, but each of you need to log in the platform and complete the activity assigned. You will have 2 attempts. So, as you can see here, for example, I'm not designing anything. I'm taking advantage of the resources I have as a teacher. I'm using my book. I'm using the platform my book comes with, sorry. So very easy. I want to show you what this looks like, okay, in our platform. So this is the exercise students need to complete. So the book they are using, the grammar support unit 1, exercise 4. So I may be the one, for example, sharing the screen, but ideally students are working in groups and they are discussing like, okay, what is it? Is it have or has? And how do we know? Okay, let's check the notes. Okay, and here, is it have lived or is it lived? How do we know? Oh, but it says for 20 years. So that's what you want your students to do. Or that's ideally what they will be doing during this type of activity. So I'm using the Richmond Learning platform for my in-class flip, not designing anything, just taking advantage of the resources I have. So station number 1. Second station, this is a different type of a station, okay? Again, students share the screen, someone controls the time, work as a team, and listen to the answer key when you're ready. So in this station, in the previous one, the platform gives the students instant feedback. So you don't need to do anything because the platform tells them what was right and what wasn't. But in this type of a station, students need their feedback. They need the answer key and they need to know if they did well or not. So I give them an answer key, okay? In this one, what students need to do is to report. So I give them here like the information. I also give them some prompts, like some clues for them. It depends on the level. And then when they are done, they have the answer key. And this answer key is a listening. I want to test my students' listening skills, right? So this is a kind of integrated station because they need to write, but they also need to listen, and they will get the feedback from their listening. So I'm testing their listening skills, And as a group, they may say like, "Okay, I don't understand. Can you repeat? Okay, let's see. What is it there? Is it correct or not?" So a different type of stage. But as you can see, the teacher is not necessary, right? You can be visiting the stations and helping students when needed, but you don't need to be there to provide feedback or answers.
1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's see. Station number 4. Okay, station number 3, I'm sorry. In this one, the students need to do some drag and drop, right? But they need to read a text first, and the sentences are related to the text, okay? So this is the text. The students may need some time to read it. And then the link is here. So students will go, this is WordWall, a web page that I really like to use, easy to use, easy to create, and they will get like instant feedback as well. So in this one, what they need to do is to organize the sentences. Very simple. Oh my God. And that's it. And then they will go next. So something I like about this is that they will have a timer telling them like, okay, it's been a minute, it's been, so hurry up, right? Like the number of words. And they have a bonus if they do it quickly. And if they make a mistake, right, until everything is perfect, they will get like the tick. So another type of a station, teachers not needed, instant feedback, right? This is another one, okay? Also in the same web page, but a different type of activity. This one is for them to check verbs, for example, right? So as you can see, they have less time. But if the others have 15 minutes, how come this one has like just 10 minutes? So what are they going to do? Because I say 10 minutes for them to finish the activity, probably because they will need a lot of time like watching and speaking. And also because unfortunately it was set like for 10 minutes, like the type of game that they will use, okay? What do they have to do? Find the verbs in the past participle as quickly as possible. Add words you didn't know to your word bank. So my students have a word bank in which they are like collecting some vocabulary. Work collaboratively. Remember that you're a team. Provide examples with the verbs in context to your partner. So again, I'm telling them to personalize information. Okay, 1 attempt, 5 lives. So click here, and that will send them to the activity. Let me show it to you. So this is the one. So they need to start clicking and finding like the verbs. This is another type of a station. This is the last one I'm going to show you. And something that I like about this type of station is that we are using the book. So open your books to page 14, read the grammar box about does, yet, and already, complete exercises 6 and 7, right? So to keep in mind, read the grammar box if necessary. Refer to the definition in the grammar reference. So I'm telling them to use the book and go to the grammar booster, to the grammar reference section that the books have. Work collaboratively. And as you can see, I'm like always telling them to work collaboratively, because sometimes the students tend to do these type of activities on their own. So they are like, no cameras, no microphones. You will visit the groups and there is silence. So By repeating them that they are a team, that they need to work collaboratively, you will see a change in students' attitude as well. And you will see that they start helping each other and speaking more. Probably in English, maybe in Spanish. It's kind of difficult to control that. But what matters is that students are collaborating and helping each other, right? So I tell them to go to their books. So they will see this is like the grammar box that I'm telling them about just, yet, and already. Same book. So I tell them to do exercises 6 and 7. And if necessary, they can go to the reference. So again, I'm using the book. I'm not designing anything. I'm not taking extra time to do this. I'm just using the resources I have, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's something that we teachers tend to do a lot. Like, but what can I do? Tell them to work with the book. That's what it is for, right? That's what they have it for. So take advantage of it. Especially if you're working with Richmond books, you will know that our books are really good for this type of personalization activities, for grammar in context. If you are a teacher that is more probably prompt, or that you liked more to use grammar exercises for them to complete, the book will also have those type of exercises. So those are the example of stations that I had. And then I want to tell you about some benefits. But I would like to ask you, what benefits do you think in-class flip may have? I'm going to show you mine. And if you have any, please let us know via the chat, okay? So students are in control of the learning processes. The teacher can provide better feedback because you can be visiting the stations and listening to them and helping them, right? The class is completely student-centered. Collaboration takes place. Like you will see that students will work collaboratively in a very beautiful way. Like you will see how probably these students that didn't get along well during other classes will work much better in these type of activities, right? Students become team builders and relationships improve a lot, and the teacher relinquishes control. And although I know that we don't like to relinquish control in class, this is a very important benefit of in-class flip. So I don't know, Silvia, if our audience or anyone is telling us something about the benefits of in-class flip. So participants, I would like to see your comments. Any question, any doubt, anything that you would like to say?
Well, Gabrielle here mentions one of the benefits, collaborative work, right? Students get to be part of the learning process actively. That's one of the most important benefits. Definitely one of the 21st century skills to develop or to help the students develop is the collaborative working, right? And so that's one of the most important benefits that we can see in here. I would like to read back a little bit some of the few comments you have, Carolina. Along the presentation, Lisette mentions that it is interesting and useful information. Thank you for your comment. Marta, great presentation. Everything is going well. Interesting ideas, right? Thanks for all your teaching. Diana Martinez. Alejandra Espitia, she says the best way to use the best way for us to learn how to do something is when you model it. So that's another important thing to mention in here. When you show the students and you model the activity, it's easier for them to understand what is it that they need to do in the activity you're proposing, right? So that's an important comment Alejandra is sharing right there. One more comment, or actually a question from Ruby. Could you please share the name of the platforms you have used for the stations? If you recap a little bit on the platforms, a couple.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm using the Richmond Learning Platform, which is our platform that is full of benefits as well, because the students have the book over there, the teacher has the book. So those are like the grammar exercises that students can do. I've also used Powtoon, that is a tool in which you can design videos for your students. Word that is the one for them to, like organize the words, and word wall as well for the grid. Okay, those are the ones that I've used. Easy to use, free, you don't need to pay for them. You just need to create an account. And something good is that students don't need an account. You just share the link, and that's something that also will save time. Okay, so thank you for your comments. And then if you have any questions, just let us know, please. And I would like to thank you all for listening, for paying attention, for being so active. I wish we had more time so that we could actually play and go over the stations and see what students will do. But, well, unfortunately, we don't. However, Sylvia, which is our next expert, right, Sylvia? She's going to tell you something great about in-class flip and gamification and how to use this in class. So she will give you like better examples than mine. Some references in case you need them. So Marta Ramirez and Carolina Rodriguez are like experts from our country. So we have them just like right here. So take advantage also of these two experts that we have in Colombia. So let me come back and let me stop like sharing this. So that's also, thank you so much. Thank you for listening, for participating, for everything.
Thank you, Carolina, for sharing this important information with us. It's been a pleasure, really, to have you all in here. Gabriel says, kudos, Carolina and Sylvia,
Thank you.
fantastic. Catherine, I just saw your comment. It is possible to use in-class flip while teaching in virtual classes and on-site class at the same time. I think you mentioned this before, but maybe you can refresh just in 1 minute this information
Sure.
in here.
Yes, you can. But what you have to do is to make the decision process like separately. So you can decide, for example, what I did, like a PowerPoint presentation, and I wanted to use a PowerPoint because some teachers are always telling me, but yes, you use other tools, but I don't know how to use them, or I don't have money to pay for this. PowerPoint, your best friend, is there. Okay, you don't need to be like the most technological person to this kind of activity. So if your students are working virtually, you can do a PowerPoint, for example, upload it in your drive and share it with students. You can share like QR codes as well, for example, for them to use. And if you have like students on site, you can also share the QR code. So you can paste QR codes with in your class. Students scan the code and they will send them to your drive and to the presentation, for example. Or you can design most of the activities based on the book, right? Like for them to have the book there. So that's another possibility.
Alrighty, that's it. Carolina, thank you so much. Really appreciate your information and everything you have shared today with us. And hopefully, I would like to invite you all for the next webinar, which is going to be next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Hope to have your comments, your questions, and your participation in our next webinar. Thank you for participating in cycle number 2 in our Richmond webinars. Right? Have a good afternoon. Bye,
Bye.
Carol. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It has been a long road and full of challenges. Being bilingual on graduation day has been one of my greatest achievements because I now have the tool set to go on reaching all the objectives I might set for myself in the future. A world of opportunities opened up to me when I started studying with Richmond Solution. I was really able to learn autonomously. I could study at home, in the library, or in the classroom. I could dive into the book, or by being connected to the internet, I could explore fascinating activities that empowered my English skills. I was able to instantly access the answers as they were only a click away. I loved working in a team. My friends and I had great fun as we learned. I learned a lot from them, and I know that they learned something from me. The exams were always challenging, but thanks to the practice that was constantly available on the digital platforms, we were fully up to speed to meet these challenges. I am really going to miss my school.
Richmond Solution helped us hugely to transform the English program in our school. We have now got the best tools to guarantee the best learning. Let me show you. Part of the process gives us access to a coach who builds our confidence, as well as training courses to better our abilities and to continue our improvement. Yes, good teachers are always keen to learn more. As we live in the cloud, as we say in this connected world, we have digital resources to improve our classes and which allow our students to learn from anywhere in the world, even quite literally in the clouds if they are on board an airplane. Through the Richmond Test Manager and Learning Analytics, we have a variety of possibilities to test, validate, and monitor students' progress. It is amazing to be able to see how your students are learning and to have the evidence of their learning at your fingertips. This really does make us very happy indeed. Richmond Solution is a solution designed for you.